Viewers, let's cross over to Parliament. Like I introduced in the beginning, it was a process to elect, not select, elect members of the East African Legislative Assembly. It was concluded this week. NRM, the ruling party, retained all its 6 incumbents who have already served their first term, and the opposition. We have 6 opposition political parties in Parliament. Only one, the Democratic Party, which we know already has an MOU signed with the ruling government, managed to send one. Those are now 7. There are 2. Yeah, the 2 positions left of the 9 went to the independents, and both the independents are from NRM leaning. What do you make of that, Gerard? You do oversight on Parliament. What does that speak to you, especially the outcome? Before we talk about how the process went on and all the drama we saw in that election. When I talk about the drama, you can also think about the numbers not tallying. Did you notice that also?
I had not taken keen interest in the numbers.
Because when you look at the numbers, of the total number of votes, 473, then you put into context the fact that the NUP 57 had boycotted, and then you also look at the 11 that came out as invalid. There was an issue around numbers.
Yeah, actually, what shocked me is seeing invalid votes in the Parliament, but it's reflective of our body politics, where we come from. Because how can I fail to make a choice? I'm educated, I have a big ballot paper. How could I fail? But about the result, last week we were here and we were prophesying. We were not even prophesying, but it was very clear that there was an order that all NRM MPs should go back and serve their second term. So that was achieved. Did not surprise me. And then we also knew that there were 2 political parties that were allied to NRM, and that was UPC and DP. Of course, Gerard Siland of DP succeeded. It's not a surprise to me. Honorable Jacqueline Amongin,
independent.
Even if you say independent, if I get a hyena and then I dress it in a goat's skin, does it become a goat? It doesn't. So
it becomes a high goat.
Doesn't become a goat. So these are people who contested on NRM ticket,
yes,
and they lost. We all know that they have been rewarded by their political party to be given jobs to go and work in Arusha. So the actual NRM has taken ideally 8 seats. Honorable Veronica Kadogo contested in the on NRM ticket. So these are members of NRM, they are party card holders, they are not independent. So NRM has taken 8 people, and then DP, and then 1 opposition. The only surprise to me was that Fred Ebil of UPC, whom I expected to go through, lost. I don't know why, whether he took it for granted, but honestly, the results do not surprise me.
They do not surprise you. And especially on that fact that Honorable Freddie B lost. And we know that UPC has an understanding with the NRM.
No, the challenge actually it brings me to, I think Honorable Norbert Mao is I call him maybe an intelligent man. Because after getting tired of dealing privately with the president, he said, let's formalize. So he had to enter a memorandum of understanding, and in the memorandum, they clearly state how to say, give me this, I give you that. Now,
which is not the case with UPC.
With UPC, Honorable Jimmy Akena, the information I got, they had a draft MOU before 2026 elections. But when he attempted to take it to the National Council of the party, it was thrown out. So, so it was thrown out, and I think he prefers the informal way of dealing. So his wife had to go become a minister, and then he supports government positions, but there's no written document. So you cannot hold NRM accountable for not voting a bill.
But really, can I mean in this context of parliament, can in case if at all Gerard Silanda lost,
Yes.
can Mao hold NRM on this particular matter?
Galisi, one, he's a minister there.
Because it is members of parliament who vote through secret ballot. Can he?
But the president has a very big influence on the caucus.
Okay.
You know that. The president usually chairs this caucus, and he has very influential position on how the parliament, the NRM parliamentary caucus behaves in the house. So having this document is somehow, and you know the marriage is new. They're still in the honeymoon. You don't want to separate with your wife when you have just married each other. You know, the hormones are still active.
So UPC lost it possibly because they did not formalize the arrangement and cooperation.
Yeah, there was a hole in the bus. So
they dropped out.
Richard, what do you make of?
They dropped through the hole.
What do you make of the process that happened in Parliament?
No,
and the outcome especially?
No, like we agreed, the outcome was already largely determined.
To the foregone?
Yeah, it was largely determined. By the way, this thing of 2 terms, it can also change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be 3 terms. So the 2-term talk will be convenient for now. So if it's convenient in 2026 or 7, whenever we have new MPs, it can also be changed. We largely expected very little difference from what would happen.
To the foregone conclusion?
Largely. I think the UPC candidates' inability to go through, first of all, was a personal challenge. I am told he had his own personal challenges, including not adequately canvassing and taking the MPs a bit for granted. So I am told that that partly he was punished for that.
Okay.
I'm also told that in the UPC itself and in the places, especially like Lango, where they had a foothold, that there are also disagreements, particularly with that individual. That the MPs from that region actually do not support.
So the candidate himself could have had his personal issues
had his challenges
that affected
the voting pattern, that are supporting the. And then I am also told, this is what I heard, that there was a strong women oriented lobby. No, let's have more women.
To have more women. I heard the speaker even applaud.
Yes, now that you bring the speaker, I particularly heard that the speaker was strong on that element. So he had a couple of things against
the tide was high against him.
So maybe lack of formalization also, the informal nature of things. And the president was not assertive, I was told. He was not assertive on the opposition candidates that have to be. He was very assertive on the NRM candidates going back, but he was non-committal on the GEMA, UPC and DP candidates and said these must be the ones. So he played again I was told, his non-committal balancing act and let the MPs go into the decision making. The surprise, I think for me, was the Honorable Kadogo.
Yeah, independent.
The independent Honorable Kadogo, I think, was a bit of a surprise. The Honorable among I think, had from what I was told, very strong support of the speaker.
Oh.
So that was to her advantage, yes. And then the Eastern Bloc, her area bloc was strong. So I really, for me, the highest congratulations go to the Honorable Kadogo. Yes, I think, I think.
Okay, to talk about the decision by the opposition caucus, because I think, and I will ask you if you think it had an effect on the outcome. A day to elections, or 2 days to elections, the opposition caucus made a decision to totally withdraw from the process, and well, NUP had already made their position clear on the matter, but then other opposition parties also said we are not participating. And
yeah, but if we add up the numbers and all the opposition MPs did not attend, let's assume a normal parliamentary session. You say all the opposition MPs don't attend.
Are they 118?
Parliament business would still continue.
529?
Yeah, parliament business would still continue. So in terms of numbers, they have very little consequence. In fact, in my view, they have more consequence when they engage. Yeah, they usually have more consequence when they engage, when they take their stand, when it is very well reasoned. They sometimes sway the opinions of some of the others. But even when they refuse and, take a stand and take a grand stand, you sometimes see parliamentary business.
Are you saying on this particular issue, their position
they were very,
did not hold?
They were very pragmatic. They were very, very pragmatic. They knew whether they participate or not. They have very little they can change. So it is politically more expedient to not to participate and to announce that you are not participating. Because then you can stand on the side and say, we told you it's a sham. We always knew it had no meaning. Now see what has happened. That is why we didn't participate in it. Because whether you participate or not, you make no difference.
But Richard, can't we find reason in what they are saying? That this process is a foregone conclusion. I mean, NRM decides whoever goes to EALA. Can't we find?
And so does CCM in Tanzania, and so does whoever in Kenya, and so does whichever party in Rwanda. That's the architecture of the EALA choice of representatives. And so, for you to take, and that's why I said they are pragmatic, for you to take a stand and say, I am publicly boycotting, is a clever thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because you know whether you go in there or not, you are not going to make any difference. So what you are doing is you are communicating to the public, to your constituency and the others, that we took a stand on this one. And that plays into your politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So either way, they lost, well, they may have lost the seats, but somehow they gained some political...
Yes, exactly. They were trying to get some political gain out of this process, because they knew that on voting and the MPs who will go, that's a loss finished, concluded. So why not get some other gain? Others think
that possibly if the NUP, the National Unity Platform, with its 57 members, they are now 55, because 2 of them, I think, are in prison. With its members, if they had rallied behind an opposition candidate, that would have made the difference. I don't know if you think...
No, but that would mean that they are giving credence to the process. Yeah, so you make a difference in an individual, probably, but you give credence to this process which you don't want to. So there is no gain, really.
So somehow they have snatched up.
It is face saving. It is gaining, keeping some modicum of getting some gain where you would have got to 0. Yeah.
Gerald, what do you think about that position to first make a pronouncement just a day before elections that they are withdrawing totally? Opposition caucus.
Last week when we were here again, we said NRM was to determine who is going to EALA. And when I saw my friend Harold Kaija going for that race, I said, because there is a position to blacklist FDC and NUP not to step in Arusha. So
what actually I didn't state is that whereas a position was taken by the opposition caucus, other parties like FDC insisted they will participate.
Exactly. So some actually participated. But the result was foregone conclusion. So the NUP was doing, to use this process to highlight what they feel are challenges of this process. To them, I think what I saw the Honorable Mpuga communicating is that the way they elect does not reflect the representation of all shades of what? Opinion. So I think they got political capital out of it. I have seen even in my neighborhoods because of that, people talking about EALA, people boycotted because of this and that. But at the end of the day, they also saved their face. Not from going, you get 0, and then at the end of the day, it looks like you just legitimized a process which you did not believe in, and then it also led to humiliation. So I think it was a face saving. It was both for political capital but also face saving.
Well, viewers, this is the dialogue, and we have a platform with which or from which you can be part of this discussion. Go to WhatsApp and send in your messages via 0701609906. That phone number will be running on your screens. Send your comment, and we'll be looking at these comments before we close the show. Tell us what you think about the ECOP resolution, and you can also tell us what you think about the EALA election process that was concluded in Parliament this week. And again, Dr. Gerard.
You are also predicting nicely, Dr. Richard.
Yeah, Doctor, you're becoming a doctor soon. I know it's coming very soon. Can you say the same thing about iPod? Because you are saying by boycotting the process, they saved their face and they gain some political capital. Is it the same case with iPod? Because we know, nope, the same thing. Nope does not believe in iPod.
I think iPod, they have valid reasons. Because under the law, we have what we call the National Consultative Forum for political parties. It is under the Political Parties and Organizations Act, and I think the Electoral Commission Act, which brings together all political parties that participate. It is a legal body that parties can dialogue on issues that affect the country. But now iPod brought together a loose group of only political parties that are represented in Parliament, and there are national issues that have come up, issues of human rights. Like I used to hear the FDC people talk, and even some civil society organizations. There are issues that come up, human rights, issues of the transition, issues of maybe the system of governance.
Yes.
There are those things that have been coming up consistently in all about 15 years of iPod, and none of them has been achieved. But last year, after President Museveni being declared the winner of the presidential race, only 2 political parties stand up and Kololo, and then they had an iPod meeting for the first time in Kololo, which other stakeholders interpreted as a gimmick to legitimize a flawed political process. And to be specific, there was DP, there was also UPC. So I saw other stakeholders saying that actually President Museveni is dialoguing with himself. That's it's dialogue, looking in the mirror, and then you begin talking to yourself, and then you assume like you're in a dialogue. So for me, I think they have a point, because let me tell you something, Apple. Politics does not mean that the only actors in politics are the political parties, those who participate in elections. If we are talking about a genuine national dialogue, let it be all encompassing. Let's have civil society, let's have Bagumas here. They may not be contesting, but they have very good ideas that can feed into our body politics and make the country better. So, with iPod, I think there are genuine reasons. Either it will reform or it will become irrelevant to the people of Uganda. It will just become a club where people meet, then they negotiate, increase the money that you give to us, the opposition.
Could it be a reason why the funders, the Netherlands Institute of Democracy, something withdrew or are withdrawing?
Yeah, because I was reading an article about why the Institute for the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Politics is also actually they have suffered the double jeopardy. One, DGF was the biggest funder, and it's coming to an end. Okay, from this September, I think December, they are closing. Then they're also getting money from the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy. Now the pressure there in Netherlands is that, but we are in this process, yet major stakeholders like the biggest opposition party in parliament is not participating. So who are you talking? Which dialogue? What are you dialoguing? We thought this process would bring all actors together to forge a way. Of course, it has been creating jobs for some people, you know, being iPods, good salaries, but iPod has not impacted the country.
So don't you think the opposition, NUP, are somehow, making gains politically and asserting themselves as, their assertiveness to see some funding for such organizations being blocked, yielding some results?
Yeah, but I don't think it's achieving anything, because even if iPod closes, we shall stay with our problems that hinder probably intensive mobilization, campaign. So the situation will stay. Will stay as it is. So I don't think they have scored much, because that man of iPod was not going to Museveni, but probably it was helping President Museveni have his opponents closer.
Richard, what do you think?
I think the objective of having conversations among political parties in any country is a good idea. I think the idea that you should have structured, issue-based, and relatively respectful conversations on a regular basis, I think that's a very good idea, noble. I think, though, that the practicality of that one, even in what are called the so-called developed democracies, I think is very challenged. I think it's a very challenged practicality. I think it's very difficult to get these political opponents whose approach to gaining advantage over the other in terms of votes is by tearing each other apart. They go to do campaigns by tearing each other apart. And really, even when you see developed democracies, they really tear each other apart. They are trying to get to the deepest of somebody's private life, which they can use for political. They are trying to get to this person's families and loved ones to use them for political, to disadvantage them. And so they are getting the policies and the actions of the other one and using very negative and very undermining even language. So I think that's one. But worse is the attempt to have any issue-based conversations between parties in Uganda, between opposing parties in Uganda. Just look at the principles that you have Dr. Chiza Besigye in a room with President Yoweri Museveni and Honorable Kyagulanyi having a structured conversation. I mean, really. So it was an elite. I think it was an elite aspiration, but that didn't have any. It didn't have any evidence of being successful. There was no evidence So it was unsupported. It was a very good, a very noble elite aspiration.
But
that is
I
very
want,
unsupported by the conditions on the ground.
I wanted to ask you, after now Mao's, DP's MOU with NRM and President Museveni yielding some results, as we see.
Yeah.
I mean, won't it be now a way to go for some political parties, or do you think it is right? It is good to walk that road?
No, no. The ideal situation that I would want to see, and I'm hoping there are many Ugandans like me, is to have a functional, regular, issue-based, a platform for regular issue-based conversations between the political parties and, in fact, other political players in this country.
Isn't it what,
I think that
isn't it what Dr. Jira talked about, national consultative?
But they have left it redundant.
That's the idea. And I said it's a noble aspiration. It's very elitist, and it is unsupported by the objective conditions on the ground now. So yes, it's an aspiration, very noble.
Who's objective?
But no, the existing objective conditions on the ground. And that's why I give you an example that you get the principals, imagine them in a room having an honest and structured conversation. And we're dreaming in the circumstances. So IPOD...
Are they not willing themselves, the principles you're talking about? Or...
For me, there is absolutely no... there's absolutely nothing to give me an iota of confidence that any of them is willing.
Oh.
There's nothing, no indicator.
So it is with the principals not willing to sit and, and discuss.
First and foremost. So anybody else who attempts to go and discuss on their behalf, because the reason on their behalf is a pipe dream. There are some benefits, of course, to individuals. Thank you very much. But that this was going to work, I think, was a futile undertaking.
All right, viewers, will be reading some of your comments, and he says, thanks for the show. I would like to ask why it is that NRM takes 6 slots in EALA. I think it's unfair, and why is it that there is uneven distribution and representation? He's called Hudson, and thank you so much, Hudson, for that comment. Jared, you can attempt that. I think you can make some comment about that. Why is it that NRM has to take 6 slots?
Jared said they took 8. So why are you even minimizing
They took 8.
But the practice and the norm has been 6 for NRM, then 2 for opposition, 1 for independence. I think that has been the norm.
I think let them go and amend the treaty, because when you talk of shades, the law, shades of opinion, it is vague. If you say, maybe they got to change the law in Arusha to say, let all political parties represented in parliament send a representative. If they are, have equal chance of sending a representative. But still, if you have a highly skewed parliament where you find like a half kilo and 100 kilos, still the other side will win. You know why in Kenya you can find like 4 on the opposition and then maybe 6, and then maybe 5 on the ruling party, because parliament is almost balanced.
Yeah, look at the voting pattern. It is 49, some 50. So if this one got 49 and then the other one got 50%, they are going to share the seats.
Okay. Viewers, you can go on and send your messages on 0701609906, and we'll be reading these messages as we conclude.
But Apple, just before we conclude on this matter of dialogue, I have also never understood, for you to restore the confidence of other parties in the dialogue, there are certain words that you need to to desist.
Yeah.
If I'm going to talk to you and then you call me ideologically bankrupt, an idiot, who doesn't understand, myopic. So what dialogue am I going to engage
By the way, Apple,
with you?
if I have promised to kill you
I think it is
Within-
what he said.
within
that,
5
that the
years.
principals are not willing.
I have promised
There's
to
no
kill
political
you
will.
within 5 years.
To
I say,
dialogue.
My objective is to
To
have
finish.
you finished in 5 years. And then I say, come, meanwhile, come we talk. Surely. It's a futile, very futile.
It's a futile attempt.
Yeah, it's a futile process.
Okay. But let me I'll read the messages. Come to them later. And what do you think, Richard, is the future of such a processes in Parliament? Now, where we actually can say that NRM has it all. I mean, has the final say on who goes to EALA and elsewhere.
Yeah, you see, the NRM's attempt, actually, President Yoweri Museveni's attempt to occupy the political space as a lone
Player.
will
Dominant
not
player.
stop, yes, as a dominant, domineering player. That quest will not stop.
As long
It will continue. As long as he's able to pursue that one. So for me, I think anyone who has illusions about this not happening, we will not be together.
okay.
They would be, we would be seeing things from different angles. So if, and I told you and I've told people that if President Museveni removed from the vehicle called NRM and created another vehicle called Chira LM, they will move. Really? As long as he pulls the dominant levers of power that he does pull now.
Actually, I
If he
want
remains with those levers, so the President Museveni's levers of power are not the NRM in my view. It is the NRA. As long as he's able to pull those levers of power and he can move with them, those levers will go with him to run the gears of any other.
I wanted to ask you, actually, from what we have seen, the outcome of these elections, that the legislators chose an independent, well, he's also an NRM anyway. I don't know if it will make sense. But I was saying, deviating from what probably President Museveni had initially wanted, the UPC and the DP, doesn't it somehow tell us that possibly in future we would see even these six, the norm of 6 NRM going change? I don't know.
No, I said two things, and I want to reiterate them. One, I said this talk of 2 terms for the NRM or some individuals in the EALA MPs can also change, and we have a 3rd term. As long as President Museveni, in the current situation, chooses that they will go back, or some of them, they will go back. The 2nd term is convenient talk for now. They will have a 3rd term. I said that a little earlier now. And I also said that he was non-committal. President Museveni was non-committal on who MPs should choose from the opposition.
If he had committed himself and committed his party,
these are the two.
To bring UPC, a UPC candidate,
They would have come.
Whatever.
Because he would have been the chief campaign manager. He doesn't like losing elections, so he invests in winning those elections. Yes. And the MP would have come.
So you confirm that he still has a huge command on what happens in Parliament?
Oh yes, particularly what the NRM caucus does, and therefore what the majority of the MPs do, therefore what Parliament does.
Dr. Gerard, talk about that political, I mean, that clout President Museveni has in decisions of Parliament.
President Museveni has...
Oh, if I may ask you, do you see it changing in future? I mean...
As long as he's still in power, in this current arrangement, I don't see it changing. Because one, he has the resources. to manage these people. It's a fact. If he tries to withdraw facilitation, it will not be there. And he has said it before himself.
Are you talking about parliament that is presumed to be an independent arm of government that takes independent decisions, though working with other arms?
That is the ideal. That is the ideal. And the vision of parliament is an independent, people-centered, vibrant. Those are the words of the parliament's vision statement. Is it what we see? Yes and no. And I think as long as he wants a decision to go through, it will go. We all saw the heights around the age limit. The people were saying, no, this one here, no, we cannot. You remember with the current prime minister saying this time in Kagadi, no, use that famous video. No. We have also refused. You can't keep our people in poverty. What? Isn't she dancing? No, does it?
So President Museveni uses resources and privileges to influence the decisions in parliament.
You go and sample NRM MPs where probably the presidential campaign money comes from. Many of them don't know. Or you go and ask them where did the money that facilitated you in your constituency from the party, where did it come from? They don't know. So you have a situation where I own the party, I own the resources, I own you. It's a fact. And then you cannot deviate. If you do, I will punish you. Except a few cases that have managed to resist. But you see that even when they resist, when time comes for campaign, including our brother who has not come here, the Honorable Barnabas Simiri, they will pause, but during campaign time, they go and try, you know,
and they will say, you see, I support him. For him, I support him. Except...
Richard, now it takes me back to EALA and the objectives for which the whole idea of East African integration. I mean, looking at here, now it talks about the systems that here in Uganda, we have a system where even parliament can be influenced by an individual, well, head of state. I mean, talk about now the objectives, realizing the objectives of the integration.
Well,
it takes us back to the discussion.
He's very pro-integration.
But should it be him and himself?
Well, no, it shouldn't, but he is very pro-integration. So you wouldn't worry about the agenda of the integration if he's the one influencing things.
And nobody should deceive you that each of these MPs in EALA is communicating their own idea. No. They usually go with the country idea. They have to consult here.
Yes.
And then they go and have a position in Arusha.
So on that integration agenda, you wouldn't expect much contradiction. The principal, who is a major influencer, almost a sole influencer of these things, is also pro the agenda of integration. So there you would be comforted that agenda is not going to be undermined. And you see the integration. He understands it very well. He has a very profound security mind.
Okay.
Yeah, so he understands how that can. By the way, an integrated East Africa can be the center of gravity for Africa.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
What if we have another person in that office and he has the same powers?
If you have another person in that office and is suspicious of the integration agenda, then
won't we see what we saw in 1977?
We start undermining it, yes.
The collapse of the integration?
Yes, yes. We can see that. History can repeat itself, and history has repeated itself previously. And sometimes we have lessons which we don't even learn, even when they are there.
So briefly, we can, in summary, we can say the East African community is also hanging in balance. The aspirations and objectives hang in balance.
You see, what happens is that what is happening around us does not leave us a choice but to work together. That is why, in fact, we are a lot more endangered by not working together. So once we see this as an existential process, and if it is understood and marketed and promoted that way, it means, one, it has to remain at the level of leaders, but it really has to be targeted at the level of people.
Okay.
And the integration moves and actions have to be at the level.
Nixon Wegulo in Budaka says, thank you so much for the show. We are watching and keep it up. That's what he's saying. We only have 3 minutes or 2 minutes. Parting shot, Richard.
No, for me, I think everyone who lives in the East African region, even the one who hail from the East African region and don't live here, it is incumbent upon all of us to push the integration agenda. It is a survival, existential thing, and we need to understand it that way. And for me, the best way is to allow people-to-people contact.
News coming in. Burkina Faso Army announces takeover, military takeover again in Burkina Faso. That is the usual story of the continent.
Actually, the bullets yesterday were flying in the capital.
Your parting shot.
For me, as I conclude, the character of some members of parliament needs to change.
Oh.
This, the honorable who boxed the police officer,
That's a criminal, that one.
it was uncalled for, but also because the speaker allowed some people to begin voting early. They said they had other commitments and they had already made their choice. So the MP found some ballots already cast and thought there was rigging going on. Without inquiring, he rioted and threw his jackets, boxed the police officer, ran with the ballot box up to the up to the parliament chambers. So please, let's check our character as leaders, because what influence are you going to have or to other members of society if you act that way? So to me, I really condemn what happened in parliament.
But you see, Dr. Wanzala, two things that we have been told. One is that we have 14 million Ugandans who have mental health challenges that are unaddressed. I don't think that exempts whoever it is at whatever level, including those in parliament. I think the second thing, this person should have been scientifically examined. I think he was under the influence of some substance.
Really?
I mean, the behavior. So while you appeal for people to have modicum, we should also check what we take in our bodies, but also have this very serious conversation about mental health. Yes, I think it's a very, very serious and grave situation that you have close to half your population with mental health issues. And it is talked about, and it is a highlight, and it's a headline. I think we need to take, because that behavior, I agree with you, we should condemn it. You can have a disagreement on a voting process, but why do you go to box a man in uniform? What if he boxes you back?
Okay, I must thank you so much, our viewers. We are concluding our show, and we'll be back next weekend on Saturday. The report is that the honorable is has been summoned for further investigation on why he acted the way he acted. And
he can't enjoy parliamentary privilege with that. No.
So we will see how it pans out. I must thank you so much, our viewers, for being a great audience out there. Thank you so much for, of course, sticking with the dialogue. Thank you so much, Gerald. Dr. Gerard Wanzala, Head of Research and Civic Engagement at Africa Leadership Institute. Thank you so much. Baguma Richard, a communication specialist and an advocate for proper nutrition. And we'll catch up next weekend, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
A good weekend, and bye-bye.